Hi, everybody. I have Clarence back with me today on YouTube. So, Clarence, you're awesome. And I wanted to talk about a couple things. One is what makes sales reps successful. But the biggest question here is what is considered ethical behavior and non-ethical behavior? Because everybody wants to be successful, right?
So I think universally we all have like the same range, give or take. Like there's the ultimate of like pure best, cleanest, pure ethics ever. And then there's like deviant, disgusting, gross, icky. I think some of us can dip our toes closer to the murky pond of deviant and kind of messy. I think the main thing is that the experience of the receiving side, that's really the dictator. That's subjective. You play in the area you want to play. But I think the underlying is the receiver of that has to know and feel, however roundabout way you achieved your result. Did they feel that they were swindled, deceived, taken for, effed over, if you want to use that word without putting it in or not, but same thing.
Oh, we all know what that means.
I think
right?
that's really where the ultimate buck stops. And then of course we have laws and we have rules on things too, depending on what. So that's kind of a good indicator too.
Yeah, and we're all different, right? I mean, we approach sales our own ways. We connect with people our own ways. And there's always like this fine balance, right? How far should you go with your prospecting? How far should you go with enticing people, right? What entrepreneurs, what I basically see out there happening all the time is for credibility purposes, they try to make themselves out to be bigger than they actually are. And while, marketing is important, while putting yourself out there is important, there are, to, like you said, to the far end of the spectrum where, people are just enticed and they use their skill sets to entice, right? They could be great online with marketing. They could be great in various ways. So it's being careful and being cognizant of that. And then obviously, like, you also have to understand how far do you go, what is considered right, what is considered, not right. It exists.
I think when it turns, it's like, sometimes there's a point when it's like everything seems good, and then there's like that aha moment, like, I have that like cold feeling in my back or spine that like I feel like this is not as rosy as I once thought, or the person I thought they were is not who they really are. That's when I think the flip goes over. You're like, however they did this to get me here, so be it. But then it's like, oh my God, what have I done? Or, oh my God, exactly. Who am I dealing with? Right. And then that kind of changes everything. So I think the person who, whatever, the merchant or the vendor and the client, that person has to, I think, even if they, maybe arrived at acquiring you in a way that was maybe creative, we'll call it, they should be very aware of the client's perception of what you are. So if you're like fake it till you make it, okay. Like, not saying everybody does it that way, but using this example, it happened, fake it till you make it, run, go, bang. Hold, maybe, you gotta take your step back out of the fake it. And you faked it to get the person, but then it's like settle back into where you have the actual competency. And I don't know, like I it's a real hard answer to give.
It is hard because like nobody's perfect, right? Nobody's perfect. We're doing what we have to do to grab the attention of the audience, but it's also being aware, how far should you go? And a real, a big piece is being empathetic and how, the communication is going. Like that's really key at the end of the day. As you know, in sales, it's all about the communication. And communication is a two-way street. It's not, well, do it this way because I think this is the right way. It's, I'm going to suggest different options and you're going to pick what works best for you. So yes, there is a little bit of that, pumping up with the excitement, getting in the door, doing all that you have to do. But then it's also retracting and saying, okay, what is right for this individual, this person, this company? What is right for them? And what is considered crossing the line. So it's that fine line, right? It's that fine line, and then readapting to that. So let's cut to the chase. I want to know some examples you've seen. I know you've done a lot of stuff in the car industry, and I'm sure like there's a ton of examples and stories. Maybe you could just pick one, a general one of what you've seen that's considered unethical, or that kind of fine line of what is or isn't ethical behavior.
Okay, sure. So in an automotive setting, you and I would agree that if I'm to sell a vehicle or whatever, this is also going back, 8 years. So the internet was still a big thing, but it's now more than ever because we had COVID, we've had, things shut down. I think internet sales are not outpacing in person, but I think it's kind of uncharted area. And I think people are warming themselves to it. Like people will still on a significant high ticket would want to actually physically see and touch something. But I think more and more like people will move themselves from like, once they drive it elsewhere or there and like it, the transaction can be had virtual. Right. So, but before that, and still now, like we still do things on the phone. The phone is still like, this is a real amazing tool, does everything we want it can to do.
So is this what we're doing right now?
Of course.
Right?
So
there you go.
Yeah, we had like a auto show. So every year there's a Canadian International Auto Show. There's every manufacturer's there. They're got their booth set up. They got all their newest cars. They got really, nice dressed, nice looking people talking to people walking in. And, there's a contest and fill out a ballot for this and blah, 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 blah. So ultimately they want to collect data from everybody. And then that data is then passed along to the dealer network to use with as they please. So market to, contact, however. Sometimes there's emails, sometimes there's no emails, sometimes there's phone numbers, whatever. So whatever information you have as a salesperson, those are leads. Like, they're not maybe hot leads, but they're leads you're going to get and you can work them. Sometimes you're sending an email, sometimes you're sending a brochure. Sometimes, we didn't really do a video was kind of becoming a thing, but I loved doing the phone calls because it was just like a game for me. Like I would call the people, I'd pick up the phone and I had this like, okay, what am I going to do on this one? They came and I pieced it together. I said, well, they were at the auto show and they were looking at such and such a car. Why don't I just say like, hey, you want a free test drive of the car that you love and wanted at your local dealership?
Did it work?
Stuff like that would get people really excited. Or, congratulations, you won a whatever, whatever, like use your creative juices. I would say, you're runner up, you congratulations, you won, you were the runner up. You won, then insert, offer. And then,
right.
Sometimes it would do something. Sometimes it maybe did not produce a result. But you know what? If you do enough of them, you'll get a conversion. Like, I don't know. I felt like they even forgot why they were there, but they were there. And because I was the guy they talked to on the phone and I was having a great time with them.
Exactly. It's the experience. It's the experience.
Yes.
It's the experience. So some people I could see saying, oh yeah, what a great experience. That was fun. I love Clarence. And then other people going, well, what is this? Do I trust this? Like, that's the fine line. Like, that's the, right there. That's the situation, how you're presenting and how other people are taking it in, right?
I think the main takeaway is giving them a reason to come and see you.
Yes.
Right. So regardless of the whatever the pitch and what it was over the phone or the message you left or whatever, there was an exchange of words, tonality, enthusiasm over the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Can't see my body language because I'm elsewhere. They're not looking at me, not like
Right.
I are right now. And they were like compelled enough, is this a go and do this offer or this, this person's requesting me to come in or getting me wanting to come in. Is this something I want to do or not do? And then at that point, if it's a yes, I will do it. What more do I need? I don't have to sell anything. I just have to sell, the appointment or the ability to come in and see me. And then once they're, then it's another sales. It's almost like multiple sales.
Broken down. It's
Yes,
like
into
sales
steps.
step.
So the first,
Yeah.
you're in doing cold calling, sell the appointment. You're not trying to sell the end good. It's in stages because you don't want to go for the close on the product, whatever,
Right.
over the phone necessarily. Depends on the sales process, but every sales process is different. But in a setting of like calling leads from a dealership, your goal is to sell them to come in.
Yes.
Get them here. Because when
Yes.
they're here, they're touching the car, they're driving the car, they're looking at the car, they're imagining their life, what their new life would be with their new car. Well, like, you know what I mean? Like we're kind of tapping into people's fantasies here a little bit.
Yes, and it's true. And I also find that like changing course is really important too. Like, with some businesses, I know we're going a little bit on a different tangent now, but like some businesses, I find the cold calls and the prospecting is so straightforward. It's just so straightforward. Do this, and you're going to get your appointments and you're going to get in the door and they're going to close, right? With other businesses, it just seems like that simplicity is not there. And then that's where you have to sort of change your strategy, change your approach, change what you're asking for. There you go. So maybe, to get the appointment or to get the next step, change what you're asking for. Some people feel threatened by a long-term goal. Like, let's say you're trying to sell something and the sales cycle is very long. Don't try to sell that thing that's very far away. Sell, how you can help that particular prospect with something else, with knowledge, with people that they may need in order to make those bigger decisions, like whatever the case is. And it works. It does work. It's just about understanding, seeing the signs, are these meetings coming in or not? Why are they not happening? And then just sort of learning more and asking more questions and then altering, the script. But we totally got off guard here. You realize that, right? We totally did. It's all good. It's all good. But we're talking about ethics, right? So it's actually caring about your clients. It's actually doing the right thing for them. If you feel like you've messed up, then you tell them, look, I've made a mistake. How can I correct this? It's about being transparent rather than trying to make yourself look more knowledgeable than you are, bigger than you are, better than everybody else. That's the wrong way. And many people forget that. Mostly entrepreneurs who have to push hard to like build a name for themselves and get visibility. So they feel like, oh, wow, I got to prove myself and I've got to do this, and this. And I was one of those people. So I'm speaking from experience. I thought, well, I have to show this, I have to do that. No, you just have to know your stuff, be confident in what it is that you're doing, and just stay on course. And the rest follows, rather than trying to make like this big kind of hoopla about everything, right? Older and wiser, Clarence, older and wiser.
That's it. So
Older and wiser. Okay. So, but no, seriously.
Yeah, so like I guess the main thing is have humility, the humility to say, hey, I don't just know the answer on that. Let me find out and I'll get back to you. Like keep your ego in check. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people want to really, like, I can't say for everybody. I can't say for everybody, at least partially for me. I feel like if I'm, talking to somebody and then I feel the ego is huge, like just
Oh yeah.
beyond like the individual. Like confidence is great, believe in yourself, think you're amazing, you are the best, whatever. But remember, your ego can't greatly extend so far beyond you that you make bad choices and you say dumb things. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where I think that's the thing that people have to remember is keep the ego very in check. You have to check it. Don't, others people might check it for you, but most importantly, you have to check it.
That's
Say,
right.
you know what, I am this, confident person, but I have to understand that if I don't know something, don't communicate that to somebody. And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean I'm weak or incompetent if I say, I just don't know that information. Let me find that out and I'm going to get back to you. And then you do exactly as you say. I'll get back to you. So you get back to them later in the same day or the next day.
Yeah, no, it's true because look, we always talk about, well, I often deal with people who struggle with the rejection because, getting in the door involves a lot of that rejection and you need to have the confidence. So I like that you're bringing up this point, which is at the other end of the spectrum, which is, oh, I'm so great. I'm going to get in the door and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And this is what I can do for you. And like, offering like the total extreme of things. Like, so I think what I'm trying to say here is that nothing should be extreme. Nothing should be extreme because that's a red flag, right? Somebody who can just say, wow, I can do all these amazing things for you. And then really like you have to question that a little bit. Or, so it's good that you brought this up. It's good that you brought this up. It's being a real person and understanding that we're all vulnerable and we all have like those strong points and the weak points, and it's just to show that, just to be real with your clients. Like that's just at the end of the day what people remember if you're real with them, right? Anything else, Clarence, we can just end off with? Any other points for people?
I think just like to the point, being real, people can, I think it's a thing people feel. It's almost like you can, it's almost a projection of the things you say, the things you do, how you say things, how you don't exaggerate things too much. You tell things very candid, straight up. People tell people what they um at least this is outside of a sales context, but it's kind of relatable to everyday
Mm-hmm.
interpersonal. Tell people, depending on the type of relationships you keep. I'm of the type of person, this is personal, and I'm just, this is what I prefer, people to tell me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear.
Yes.
So in a sales way, there can be a blend of that because we are, again, solving problems for people. And that's why I think if you can utilize some of that in your sales presentation, I don't know, it works for me. I can't say it's everybody's cup of tea. That's how I am. I'm very straightforward, and I tell people like, hey, this is what you're dealing with. I'm not gonna, tiptoe around it. Like I'm gonna be
Mm-hmm.
gentle, but like here's what it is on a platter, straight up. This is what you need to hear. That's it.
Yeah, you have to do it, right? It's just how it's done. And it's also putting the person up as you're doing it, not like, oh wow, like you do this and this awful thing's gonna happen to you. Right. I've seen and heard people do that. And that's
Well,
where
that's
they're
fear. That's use of fear, right? Like so
fear,
people,
fear.
and
Yeah.
I kind of, I'm not saying it's unethical, but it's like, to me, it draws more, it triggers more of a red flag for me
Mm-hmm.
if that is coming inbound towards me, like people using fear to steer my
Mm-hmm.
decision. I
Mm-hmm.
I view that, to me, that trips a red flag in my mind.
Totally.
Like that's just that, but that's just my how I'm wired.
Mhm.
You know, maybe that type of communication of fear towards people it works. I don't know.
Well, it does work with certain industry sectors for sure. It will work, right? Insurance. Okay. I don't know. It will work, but again, the ethical aspect of it, how far do you go? Right? How far do you go? And some people are more vulnerable than others, and that's how certain deals are done. And that's where I have the issue. So it's, again, doing it for the right reasons, not and if you feel like you've overstepped, then you have that open dialogue with your clients. And dialogue is a two-way street, not do as I say and or else this is going to happen. It's really being real at the end of the day. So Clarence, thanks a lot. I want to chat with you again.
All
All
right.
right.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Take care.